Hello everyone and welcome back to Send It's Weather channel, where today we will be looking at the latest from the shorter range weather prospects, as well as a bit of longer range at the end of the video. But first we're going to focus on this stormy system moving through tomorrow, which has been named by the Meteo France as Storm Benjamin. Now, it didn't quite meet the criteria needed to be named in this country, but it was definitely dangerous enough or strong enough to be named just across the pond, just across the English Channel to be named. But in the UK, there has been a few warnings issued for it, which we'll have a quick look into for wind and also rain, which is going to push through the country through tonight into tomorrow. And I am releasing this video quite late, so for tonight it might be a little bit out of date, depending on when you watch this, but the effects are the same. So if you look at the current conditions when I'm recording this at 8 PM on Wednesday, you can see some rain beginning to move in to the south and the southeast, and that's quite heavy, especially along the south coast and even the Isle of Wight. And you can see another band of rain moving into the Republic of Ireland. And as we move through the early hours of Thursday, you can see that area of rainfall is moving northeastwards, so pushing through central southern England, through Lincolnshire in particular, through Norfolk, and pushing out into the North Sea. And as that clears away to our east, into the North Sea or the English Channel, quite close along there, you can see that the rainfall does eventually dissipate and move away to the east. But with this, the wind gusts are a bit of uncertainty, or deliver a bit of uncertainty. So you can see that it has been a little bit windy in the southwest. It has been through today, a little bit windy in the southwest, but the real wind effects arrive as that area of low pressure is clearing out to the east of the UK, or the southeast. And you can see on the back edge, this is just one run, and we'll look at a few. But the UKV, the UK Matterfish run, is showing gusts widespread of up to 20 to 30 miles an hour up to central England. But in this eastern corner, so Norfolk, into Norfolk coast, so example Kings Lynn or Margate, basically coastal areas, and also through the central swathe of the southeast, could be seeing gusts of up to 50 to 60 miles an hour, possibly 70, along the most in isolated spots, I should say, could reach 70 miles an hour. And especially if you live in quite an elevated coastal location in the southeast, could see some quite strong gusts as that area of low pressure clears into the North Sea. But of course, there's actually some quite strong gusts as well in the Irish Sea, just out to the southwest as well, of the Republic of Ireland. That's just one model run. Looking beyond that, you can see that there's areas of rainfall moving through the country, even a bit of snow, because we are digging some colder air in by the weekend. That's going to bring some widespread snow showers to over the Scottish mountains. Lots of rain showers as well for the north, but mostly it's pretty dry before weather front moves through on Sunday into Monday, bringing bouts of rain through the country, patchy rain showers, and then into the Monday afternoon, you can see another weather front moving through, sort of in this direction, which is marking the boundary towards the slightly milder air moving in. If you look at the upper air temperatures, you can see some slightly milder air is beginning to move in, shifting that slightly cooler air away to the northeast. But as I said, that's just one model run. If we have a look at the Rome run, at the wind gusts, then you can see through the early hours of tomorrow on that south coast, possibilities of 70 miles an hour, quite hard to make out, but 70 miles an hour being pinpointed on the south coast is slightly different as that clears away. And as we go into the midday on Thursday, you can see on that, in that central swathe of the southeast, 60 to 70 mile an hour winds possible, and up to 73 just on that south coast, maybe like Dover or in the English Channel, just about, for that storm does clear out into, well, to the east. Can see an isolated 77 at 1 PM on Thursday as it clears out to the east. So pretty strong. Obviously, there's quite a there's a blanket yellow warning for central and eastern parts of the country, extending onto the south coast. But most of the impacts obviously are in the southeast, which is where the wind warning is. But then there is a blanket rain yellow warning, which is affecting central eastern counties, but in that southeastern corner is where most of the wind gusts are to be expected, and possibly the far south coast, such as Brighton, are going to see the biggest impacts from this. But you can see slight deviations, but to be honest, there's not too much uncertainty about this now. The track's pretty much nailed on with this system. So if we look at the Meteo France arpège model, it is a little bit different. Definitely the wind gusts are not as strong on this. They're a little bit weaker. 50 to 60 in the southeast as it clears out over to France, possibly reaching 70 in that far southeastern corner, so like Herne Bay, possibly reaching 60 to 70, but unlikely. Even where you are, Suit, I wouldn't imagine it gets higher than 60 with this one. Maybe an isolated 60, but to be honest, it doesn't look too bad on that, I must say. But I don't think it looks as bad as expected, maybe. And obviously, the southeast is quite, they're not very used to strong gusts, and obviously there will be some isolated disruption in place, I'm pretty sure, but I don't think it'll be the worst we've ever seen. The worst impacts I've ever seen. But anyway, we'll move on to the regular forecast, see what that shows. Now, I've got to be honest here, after this little cold snap, it's going to be a bit of a disappointing and lacklustre pattern. But here we go. Got to look at it because it's the current trends and it's what's set in stone to occur over the next few weeks. So, with the GFS, we've got an area of low pressure, which is Storm Benjamin, moving in, moving through the UK, through tomorrow. And as you can see, as we're going through this chart, that area of low pressure clears out to our east into France, into northern France, and we pull the wind into a northerly direction. By the weekend, we've got higher pressure ridging out in the Atlantic, lower pressures to our east over Denmark, and winds are into a cold northerly direction, enough for some wintry showers in the far north of the country, but for most just a chilly time of the year. But again, higher pressure remains out to our west for a bit longer than expected before eventually, and maybe some frosts around actually I should say in the north, before by Wednesday into Thursday, higher pressure returning to the southwest, to the south, and lower pressures out to our west, and we're bringing up a southwesterly wind, very mild temperatures returning. You can see areas of lower pressure staying out to our west, pushing through, bringing unsettled weather, particularly to the northwest, but mostly it's a pest from the west Atlantic style pattern. Looks pretty changeable, and most unsettled in the north, driest in the south. With the GEM, higher pressure remains out to our west, lower pressure pushing to our east through the weekend and into an early part of next week. More northerly winds remaining until around Wednesday before higher pressure ridges back through the country and just to the south, and we are pulling in a southwesterly wind, so pretty mild there, with low pressure parked out to our west, so pretty mild there with southwesterly and pretty dry as well, but you would expect low pressure to move in. And finally, the ECMWF, lower pressure clearing to our east, Storm Benjamin, higher pressure out to our west, winds in from a northerly direction, stays around for a couple of days before by Tuesday we're back into a west-southwesterly flow as areas of low pressure push through the country, bringing in unsettled conditions, particularly to the south with this front, if you look there. Particularly to the south, looks quite stormy there and quite mild as well. 10 degrees for them getting into the south. So some variation on the AI model as well. I'll show you that very quickly. Very similar pattern, high pressure to the south, lower pressure to the north by Wednesday or Thursday. Back into a southwesterly wind, but turns very mild with high pressure sinking to our east and bringing up a mild southerly wind. So turning pretty mild there. And mostly dry as well as higher pressure builds through the country. So a pretty lacklustre pattern, not too much really happening. Go to, I don't know, Hugh today, which is in Derbyshire. I'm not sure I picked this location, it was just on my previously searched, whoopsie daisies. You can see the trend is for below average temperatures basically for the next week. Before temperatures return to slightly above average and precipitation spikes increase, indicating more unsettled and changeable conditions may take over. So yeah, that's the update for today. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did enjoy today's video, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I do appreciate your continued support, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.